Hello everyone and welcome to my new video in the series, the Debt in the 2020s series. And so in this video, I'm expressing my opinions regarding the topic of debt. And I have pretty contrarian opinions about debt. And in this batch of video, I'm talking about what is anti-fragility and what makes debt fragile or anti-fragile. And today I want to address, do mortgages make you fragile? I.e., how much can you lose when things go wrong? That's really the question. And of course, the more the more you lose when things go wrong, the less likely you should get debt, and the more goes right when things go wrong, the more people are likely to get debt. And so this has impacts on inflation, this has impact on how much borrowing there is out there, and this has impact on risk management for us as investors, as households, as economic agents. So let me get started. Mortgages. Mortgages are wonderful, in my opinion. They are the best debt. They're essentially they are the best debt you can get. There's no better debt than a mortgage. Mortgages is the best. It's very low interest, typically, right? If you have a high credit score, as low as a 3% down payment if you're a first time home buyer. Otherwise, it's 5%. You can have up to 10 of them. So that's a lot of secondary residences if you're into that. And they have a 30-year loan, which is really amazing. A 30-year loan, that's a long way out. So there's a lot of time for inflation to do its work, and by the time you're making payments in that 29th year, money is really not worth as much as it was when you first took the loan. So that's one of the big advantages of mortgages. And some can even be interest only, which is another feature of mortgages that is awesome. And another one is HELOCs. You can do HELOCs, like if you've paid enough equity in your loan, you can do HELOCs. So mortgages, really lots of good stuff to go with mortgages. Okay, let me begin about the lack of fragility of mortgages. Mortgages are some of the more anti-fragile type of debt. Well, it is fragile if you stop paying, but it is pretty good. So first of all, once you're approved, right, you're not forced liquidated based on whether you still have the job that you had when you applied. So once you're approved, once you have your mortgage, you're free to switch jobs. You're free to become an entrepreneur. You're free to retire even, as long as you have a mortgage going. So that's really good. And then, unlike, say, margin loans or loans on your assets, on pledged asset lines, for example, with brokerage, the real estate can crash and you're not going to be liquidated, right? The company can't sell your house, your mortgage company can't sell your house because the market has crashed. You're not going to be liquidated. That only happens when you stop making payments. So right there, mortgages do not make you as fragile because of these two advantages. But let me move on as to a reason why mortgages actually make you perhaps even less fragile. All right, what if you can't pay your mortgage? Well, that's the main risk. And hopefully that doesn't happen to anyone. Obviously you want to pay your mortgage. But it's not like you stop paying your mortgage one day and you're out the next day. It used to be like that, but it's not like that anymore. So if you can't pay your mortgage, you may be in for years of assistance. And there's entire federal programs and state programs, and it depends on your state, that help you, that assist you for you to stay in your home and to stay in your mortgage, because that is one of the overarching objectives of policy across the US, is to promote home ownership. So right there, that removes some of the fragility associated with the loan, right? You're not going to be liquidated right away. You can get assistance from a lot of programs. And by the way, I was checking programs for Texas. The income limits for these programs are actually very insanely high. Like if you, for a family of four, two adults, two kids, that's something like 106,000. You have to make less than 106,000, and if you make less than 106,000, you begin to qualify, right? They help you with your utilities too, so that removes anti-fragility, and the same that creates anti-fragility on the loan, and the same thing for the homeowner assistance fund. There was a major fund put in 2020, but whenever there's a crisis, it's likely that you're going to get some help. So mortgages are less fragile than most debt make you. They are a government sponsored type of debt, just like student loans. And so there are elements of anti-fragility in a mortgage. Mortgages protect you. They really protect you. Let me move on again. So this is very important. If you have a retirement account, which most Americans do, and you are facing hardship with your mortgage, you can do a hardship withdrawal, right? And it's written right there. Hardship withdrawals are permitted to pay for your principal residence. And so this is a channel on investing. I'm going to assume that many of us invest and have retirement accounts where we invest. Well, that's eligible for you. You can use some of that money to remove the risk of losing your house because you can't pay. These two are one of the big deals as to why getting a mortgage is not does not make you as fragile as you think, because you can access your 401k, and most people will decide to like take away a little money from retirements to pay for a mortgage rather than lose the house. Most people will decide that. So that removes some fragility again. And lastly, and of course, I don't want this to happen to anybody, and you should strive for it to not happen. But even if you talk about, let's say, okay, you can't pay, you're done, you can't pay for some reason. Well, even then, it's not like you lose the house right away. So, for example, in 2020, at the federal level, we went almost a year and a half without anybody losing their home. There was a moratorium. But that's not the first time. When you have an exogenous shock, when you have a major shock, when it's not idiosyncratic, i.e., when it's not just you, but when you have a nationwide shock, there typically are laws that are placed to protect mortgage holders, because mortgage holders are privileged borrowers, essentially. That happened in 2009 as well, with the protected tenants at foreclosure, which specified a 3-month period. So again, if there is another crisis, these loans will become less fragile due to government mandates. I really believe that. That's an unpopular opinion, but I believe the loans on mortgages will be less fragile due to government mandates or edicts whenever there are exogenous shock, like a major crisis. Again. So hopefully no one has to face foreclosure or eviction, but the fragility risk associated with getting a mortgage has been cushioned in recent years, both by homeowner help programs and foreclosure moratoriums. And the main point of this video is that mortgage debt is less risky than it was 15 to 20 years ago. And so when you assess whether you want to, for example, buy cash for a house or get a mortgage, it's important to realize that they are not as risky as what popular culture would have you think. Popular culture is all about you got to pay it off as fast. But the reality is that there's a lot of cushioning and a lot of fragility has been removed from mortgages. Of course, this is not lifestyle advice, not investment advice, not mortgage advice, not housing advice, no advice of any kind. This is just entertainment. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for liking the video. Thanks for subscribing. And please follow me on Twitter at BeatTheDenominator. Thanks for your time and have a great day.